The offensive line did a great job. Another 100-yard rusher.
Yeah, they did.
Travis Dye, 14 rushes I got him for 105, key touchdown. But Travis Dye runs with a certain brand of confidence. That offensive line likes pushing for him. That is going to be what's key when going into going into Utah, is that you have to have a balanced attack. And so we're going to be able to feature a Travis Dye, an Austin Jones, a running game, as well as a diversified passing game. And it was great to see Caleb Williams dishing out the ball again. He had another fantastic game. But kudos to the offensive line. That's the heartbeat. That's where it starts, and really positive to see.
And one thing to piggyback on your point right there is that, one thing I love about both Travis Dye and Austin Jones, now Raleek Brown's going to learn this in time. Remember, Raleek Brown tried to go side to side instead of going straight ahead for a first down. Travis Dye and Austin Jones are so good at just going north-south, getting as many yards as they can on the first read through the first gap, and that's tailor-made for this offense. They're going to get, if a play should get 7 yards, they get 7 yards. They don't get 4, they get 7. And that's just going to increase the efficiency of this offense and play into Caleb Williams' hands on play action and being able to create that balanced offense that, as you say, USC will need in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, there were. I like the fact that they didn't get behind the chain, very often behind the six. They seemed like they were on schedule for most of the game, and that's so refreshing as a USC fan to see those handoffs don't get dropped 3 yards in the backfield. So I mean,
it's new.
The offense can move when you do that.
I mean, did you guys feel like we were back with Pete Carroll and Norm Chow and Steve Sarkisian, and we were doing what we were supposed to do?
Like 2004, 2005, sure. There's no question.
Yeah.
Like those 2 years, like it definitely felt like it.
I think we were 5 of 5 touchdowns on the first 5 possessions. I don't think we punted until like 7:54 left in the game. And kudos to Travis Dye hitting that 26-yard run up the middle for a TD. Okay, he reminds me. I love the porn stash, the hair. He reminds me of John Hall from Hall and Oates. With the hair and the mustache. I called that thing. That play was called the "She's Gone." Okay, that was 26 yards, and she is gone. Oh my!
Yeah, that was like the Red Sea, though. Rick, that was amazing. The hole. I mean, heck, you could have driven a bus through that hole. He went right down the middle.
You know what? There's something bigger to note in your highlighting of Travis Dye's touchdown, and that is that Lincoln Riley very consciously and very intentionally, he is spreading the wealth. Everyone's getting a touch. Everyone's getting a look in this offense. And so what that does is it means everyone feels, that they have a stake in this. Everyone feels they have a share in this. That creates cohesion. It strengthens culture. And it also creates this notion of be ready to do whatever we need. Sometimes we're going to need you, Travis Dye, to block, provide pass protection for Caleb Williams. Sometimes we're going to feed you the rock. Whatever you need to do, be ready. And so players are not only being prepared in general, they're being prepared to handle different roles. And that makes them better, more developed, more balanced, more complete football players. This is part of program development. It's not just how do you win a game? How do we get this first down? It's how do we get everyone pulling together? And that's by sharing responsibilities, making sure everybody does a little bit of everything. That is intentional from Lincoln Riley, and it's not going unnoticed here.
And I'm glad you brought that up with Dye because, I mean, he epitomizes that whole thing you're talking about. His whole comment, no blocky, no rocky. I mean, his blocking, even in this game, I want to go back and watch it because he's just a great line. He's just an amazing blocker. His hands, he made that great catch. It was tipped last week. And then that sideline catch he had today, he just does it all. And I mean,
sorry, go ahead.
So when we look back at the season, I think that we're really going to see that he might be that little grease that makes this offense really run. So I hope we can keep him healthy.
And can I add a character thing I thought was pretty amazing about Coach Riley we saw tonight? Some of you guys may know Oklahoma safety Patrick Fields transferred to Stanford, which is really very, very hard to do. So, I mean, he must have, 3.9 GPA coming out of Oklahoma. was an all Big 12, like I think honorable mention or something twice. Really good player at Oklahoma. Lincoln Riley did not talk to the reporters until after he had a chance to hug Patrick Fields, talk to Patrick Fields, and came off. And the very first thing he's telling the reporter is, this is one of the finest young men I've ever coached, and he's going to do amazing things in the world beyond football. And just the type of character element that we saw, it's important to USC, and very much about the family. And as much as we talk about Lincoln Riley in the program, I thought that was a very Trojan character moment.
Yeah, it doesn't really fit the narrative that's coming out of the portion of the United States for the past 9 months about what kind of a guy he is. So again, usually in life, it's usually people's actions that speak louder than other people's words. And I did like the way he comported himself today on that one. Yeah,
definitely. And by the way, Ty Guy, thanks. Feel free to call in and tell us what you think. You too, Zach, pointing out BYU leads Dave Aranda and Baylor 10-6 at halftime is our update from there. And I'll say that Oregon BYU game is going to be real interesting.
Oh, yes.
I would like to add something. This was beautiful to see because David Shaw schematically has owned USC the last years with that other coach that we had.
As the tree reminded us.
Yeah, David Shaw reminds me, separated at birth, him and Phil Nicholson. They both think they're the smartest guy in the room. And David Shaw thought he was going to show Lincoln Riley, well, I've got a little trick up my sleeve for you. And it was so great to see because I think the ABC announcers had mentioned something in the second half that coming into the second half that, hey, if we don't turn those 2 balls over, we're right to this game. Well, that's part of the game, David Shaw. Go ahead and pat your little team on the back, but that's part of the game. Turnovers are part of the game. And you got out-coached tonight. You got your little slow mesh, and you thought that was going to be, this little grab bag and trickery. Well, you know what? Those days are over. Clay Helton is gone, and we got a real coach, and that was great to see. You get out-coached, David Shaw.
There's also this thing called defense, which Stanford used to be good at.
Yes.
Yeah, Derek Mason, right? Those Derek Mason defenses, those front sevens, those things aren't really there. And I think more than the intellectual brutality and their gigantic offensive linemen who really aren't there anymore either, or they're pro quarterbacks, but they're love running backs. But the biggest thing I think is Derek Mason had those just nasty front sevens, and
that's right.
Yep.
They had that big powerful thing where they'd run on you and you could not run on them, and that's it's not there anymore.
And the first half,
as the tree reminded us, he misses his friend Clay Helton, right. But we don't.
An example of that in the first half, Lincoln Riley had a play. He had Travis Dye coming out on a wheel route, matched up with a defensive lineman, number 23, and there was pass interference on the sideline. And that was a great schematic play, by Lincoln Riley putting that guy out on an island who doesn't know how to defend a running back. That was brilliant. There was an example of that. So, touche, David Shaw.
And he did that from his own 5-yard line when so many other coaches would just be thinking about just, going between the tackles, just, getting 3 yards of field position. No, it's not how Lincoln Riley rolls.
Nope.
And John, I will point out, I thought our friend the tree was one of the few Stanford folks who looked good the whole game on the sideline. He was dancing away.